Welcome your host, Caddy Frank, as she leads discussions about substance use disorder and the journey to recovery. You're listening to Redefining Recovery, a recovery revolution.
Well, here we are, another beautiful day in the neighborhood, right, Alicia?
Absolutely.
Yeah, ain't it great? So welcome, everybody, to Redefining Recovery, a recovery revolution. I am Caddy Frank, and that is
Alicia Doty.
Alicia Doty. Yay! Before we get rolling, I would like to send a special thanks to our generous funders and donors and all kinds of beautiful humans and organizations, the Patrick and Amy Butler Foundation, Otto Bremer Trust, the Sauer Family Foundation, and the Heddenborough Foundation, alongside many other folks and places and things. And feel free at any time to donate to minnesotarecovery.org. We will be happy to spend your money for our community, right, Alicia?
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's all about giving it back. Oh, today I had such a fun day at work. But before we do that, what's right with you today, Miss Alicia?
What's right with me today is I woke up to a new day, a new start, and getting ready for the holidays, which can be kind of a downtime for most people, but I try to look at it as tis the season for positive things.
Nice. Look at you.
What's right with you today, Caddy?
What's right with me today? Well, it's a bit chilly. It is winter in Minnesota. So what's right with me is that I did wake up in my flannel sheets. My boyfriend has convinced me that they are the next thing next to somethingness. And actually, I was really grateful to be warm because I know there are some people who are not warm out in our community that are living homeless. I learned that term the other day. I thought that was good, homeless. And I was just really grateful for what I do have and that I have a place and a space and I've got people. And I think one of the things that we're going to discuss is that this is not the easiest time of year.
Absolutely not.
Yeah, it's a tough time of year. So what we do at Minnesota Recovery Connection, we've got somebody in the office today. Her name is Darcy, and she has whipped out the wrapping paper for the season. And what we try to do at our office at Minnesota Recovery Connection is we try to honor all holidays. So we don't make it all certain Christmassy. We make it sort of holiday-y. And Darcy, season's greetings, happy holidays. It's good because there's so many holidays that happen in this. And so today Darcy and the team are wrapping all of our office doors. So you're going to come back to a wrapped door. I don't know what Darcy's going to do.
I put a request in for a pink wrapping paper.
Oh, you did? So. Okay, good. Okay, good. Then, she was doing that when I left. She was just doing that. And, we do these kind of things because what they do is, we pick some colors, we pick a thought or a look, and we just react. It just makes you kind of feel good, right?
Brighten your day.
Yeah. So yesterday I brought in a bag of stuff. And what did you do with some of that stuff?
I put it on my shelf, hung it up, decorated my office with an elf and a Santa stuffy and a Santa bow tie.
Oh, cool. Yeah. So I had a very good friend of mine, Terry. Her mother passed away last year, and she had an extra bag of goodies. And I thought I'd bring it into the office and let people kind of pilfer through it. I took a couple items myself at home, but to just kind of liven up the office, just because it's a time of year when we have to remember that that's not always positive.
Yep.
It's hard.
And there's a lot of loss and loneliness during this time of year.
Yeah. And so that'll be kind of our big discussion of the hour with you. The other thing that we also are doing at the office is on Monday, we're having our office potluck. And everybody's going to bring in something to nibble on and sit around and talk. I guess our fearless leader, Cynthia, said we're going to be playing some games.
And listening to music.
Is that what it was?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, good. So, and again, when we think about trying to get together for the holidays and trying to navigate some of, like you said, Alicia, there's some sadness, there's some grief, there's some loss. And then there's times when we can pick ourselves up a little bit and find different things to do. I did something on whatever day it was this past weekend. I gifted my stepmother, Donna, with a floral arrangement ladies' day.
Nice.
Yeah, it was kind of cool. It was at Lynn Hall restaurant on 26th and Lindale. And I do believe, I might be speaking slightly out of turn, but I do believe she is a woman who is a friend of the recovery community. And she had an organization there, and I can't remember the flower place. It's just down the street from Lynn Hall. And they're like 70, they were like, no, probably about 60 of us at this long, huge table and all these flowers and big pots. And the woman who started the whole day said, okay, now we're going to start with our pot that has our little floral squishy in it. And here, let's take this and put this in this side and this in this side. And of course, you know me, I'm like, didn't do anything she told me to do.
Absolutely not.
So I think I had one of the biggest bouquets there. And it was so funny because my stepmother, Donna, she's a very small, petite person. And I am not. I am quite tall. And it was so interesting because both of our flower arrangements were like two different sizes, like we are. So, but it was a fun thing to do because what it did is it brought community. We sort of chatted with a couple of people around us.
The opposite of addiction is connection, Caddy. I mean, absolutely.
Yeah, totally. And it was interesting because I signed us up for this and they said they would have a winter cocktail. And so one of the first things that Donna said, she goes, well, we don't drink. And I said, no, we don't. But I'm pretty sure they'll have an alternative. Sure enough, they had a non-alcoholic champagne there, which was just lovely, just a little apple juice. But the reason why I bring it up is that there are things that we can do during the holidays that are both bring community together, maybe bring some creativity together, that make us feel that we're just not so alone.
Yeah, and we always have volunteer opportunities at Minnesota Recovery Connection, do we not, Caddy, for coming in and just spending time in our safe space to, during the holidays, if you're lonely or need some help or resources or anything like that, it's just a warm, fuzzy place to come and have connection and be around others.
Yeah.
In the season.
Yeah, no. And what's so interesting about that, I was talking to a gentleman who's a volunteer at our front desk. His name was Michael. And Michael was, I hadn't talked to him yesterday. He had volunteered. And I said, hey, Michael, who are you? And he said, I'm Michael. And I said, and tell me who Michael is. And he sort of gave me a little bit of his story. And he's literally coming to Minnesota Recovery Connection after doing some other, recovery activities with an organization. And he just wanted to not be alone.
Mm-hmm.
And I just thought, welcome to our little nestle family here. And then I said, hey, you just got out of treatment. Do you have a peer recovery specialist? And he's like, well, no, I don't. And I said, well, that is what we do here. So I introduced him to three of our navigators, Josie, Rachel, and Adam, and see who vibes with Michael. And maybe, you never know, they might just spark up a peer recovery specialist participant relationship. So anything can happen at our office, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
We also, I'm probably jumping ahead, but we also have connection during the time of year. Christmas does land on a Wednesday. We have our LGBTQI plus meeting at 5:00 on Wednesdays on Zoom. Go to our website. The link is on there, but we will be open for the holidays at 5:00 to have that meeting if anybody needs support during that time.
Yeah. And we offer all recovery meetings, which is a different format than some of the traditional model, which is we talk about mental health, physical, emotional, and spiritual. And when we come back, I'm going to have, what's her name? Alicia. I do this all the time, y'all. Well, I'm going to have Alicia kind of describe what a little bit of an all recovery meeting is, because during the holidays, this might be a great place for people to just have an interaction with other folks. And you can describe, kind of what it looks like and when we have them. And that way we can begin to open up the conversation about how do we take care of ourselves during the holidays. So when we come back from break, I will and Alicia will meet you at opportunities for the holiday season. Thank you for listening to Redefining Recovery, a recovery revolution.
This guitar needs 6 strings, 'cause without it there's no song. And this house needs love in it, 'cause without it there's no home.
Love that music. Just kind of gets me flowing. Thinking about the WAFA recovery. even though that's in September and it's coming up again sometime soon. Welcome back to Minnesota Recovery Connections, Redefining Recovery, a recovery revolution. So who's with me?
Alicia Doty.
Alicia Doty, and I'm Caddy Frank, and I am excited to sit down and talk to Alicia. We were sort of pre-talking about this conversation, and the holidays have weight. They have expectations. They have responsibility. They have a lot of things that people want to run away from. Would you agree?
I would agree to that 100%.
Yeah. And so one of the things when we left last was that Alicia hosts or co-hosts, I would say, what we call the All Recovery Meeting at Minnesota Recovery Connection. And this is an opportunity for people to have a kind of unformatted, only there's sort of a protocol that we go through, but an unformatted conversation.
Not conversation and connection.
Yeah. So tell the folks what an all recovery meeting looks like, because you've been doing it for years.
So we start out with space and place of respect, understanding, and group guidelines. And the group guidelines can be anything from oops to ouches. If somebody offends you or says something that, may hurt your feelings, we stick with those guidelines. We also talk about spiritual, mental, physical, and emotional health on a scale of 0 to 10, how they're feeling. But it's not a space to place to judge people of where their numbers are. It's a space and place to understanding that people have different numbers and are at different situations throughout the year, tending during the holidays, and a lot with the political stuff going on right now. Our LGBTQ community is having a grief session, and we do meet Mondays and Wednesdays at 5 o'clock. We also have other all recovery meetings at 9 o'clock in the mornings with Minnesota Recovery Connection. But the LGBTQ community, I've noticed that there's been a lot of grief and loss and anxiety over a few things lately. So we've had anywhere from 5 to 10 people attend every Monday and Wednesday.
That's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, to the young man who started this way back in the day, it is just amazing how much it's grown, particularly for that community.
Absolutely. We also check in with that. We have feedback. Once you give your numbers, you're open to feedback. You can say if you're open to feedback, you don't have to have any feedback, but a feedback is more of a dialogue and support of how other people have maybe gotten through some certain rough spots. And so you can kind of get feedback on maybe what might work for you, what might not work for you that maybe you haven't thought of before.
Yeah.
So we do that. And then at the end of our meetings, we always check in with one thing of gratitude.
Oh, nice.
And gratitude is something that's some people just take for granted sometimes. So sometimes it's hard to think of something that you're grateful for, but that can be as simple as what Caddy and I said this morning, having a space and place to be in, during the holidays, or like I said,
getting up and taking a shower.
Taking a shower, and being thankful for the little things. So.
Yeah. I think we sometimes forget about the little things, right? And I think what I really like about the all recovery meeting, so whenever I do a training, we do an all recovery meeting with the entire class that I have the honor of working with. And everybody comes out of that as like, wow, that was so different, because our recovery community is used to a certain 12-step program or variations of the theme. And they kind of have some very specific ways that they run those meetings, and maybe
that's not for everybody.
No, it's not for everybody. And so these all recovery meetings, like Alicia said, have the opportunity for people to dialogue or not, because sometimes people just want to talk and just be heard. And we find that, and you've probably heard, many of you listen to this program, bless your hearts. And I mean that really, really thoroughly. Those of you who do listen, that, when we listen to people, that's when the magic happens. Right, Alicia?
Absolutely. You have 2 ears for a reason and 1 mouth for a reason.
Yeah. Yes.
2 ears for better listening.
Yeah. And so when we talk about the holidays, we know they can be, as well as they can have a lot of weight that is attached to them, they can have a lot of greatness too. They can have a lot of fun. And so I talked about this flower lady thing that I did. And what we want to do is we want to just sort of, spark people's curiosities on things that they can do during the holidays. And then if you don't want to do anything, that's okay too.
Hmm.
That is okay. But what we want you to do is, if you're in the recovery community and there's an overwhelm about maybe some of the shame or guilt, or maybe those things that maybe people have impressed upon you, don't be alone all the time, because those little hamsters in that little cranium of ours can take over.
They can spin that wheel and it can spiral out of control.
And what we want people to know is that there's many things that we can do. So I'm going to think of 3 things. You start thinking of 3 things. So 3 things that what we can do during the holiday. There's a lot of, if you are lucky enough and you have a vehicle, drive around some of the lakes or maybe some of the neighborhoods and just look at Christmas lights.
Hmm.
Christmas lights are just fun, or holiday lights, if we want to call them that. Some people use, some people have very specific colors they use. So Hanukkah is generally blue and white. Ramadan, I'm not sure what their colors are, but I think of the African American holiday. It's going to come to me. My apologies. What is the holiday? It'll come to me. And if you're thinking about it out loud there, say it to yourself, folks. But those are the earth tones, like orange and black and red and green, those colors. So there's all kinds of colors that you can encounter. Downtown St. Paul has the huge Christmas tree in between the St. Paul Hotel and the I'm pulling this off my hat here, folks. Right down in Rice Park. There it is, Rice Park, downtown St. Paul. So you could go down there. Sometimes they have skating too. I don't know if they do this year. You can go to, and Sarah and I mentioned this last time we were together, which is going to the Como Park Conservatory.
Absolutely. That is amazing and so beautiful.
So beautiful. They always have a holiday room as well, where it's nothing but poinsettias and other flowers that are sort of holiday driven. And then there's the rest of the place that is just moist with moisture, because the plants are breathing and doing what plants do. What are some 3 things that you can think of off the top of your head?
I went more towards like volunteering, like for Red Kettle, and just being around a community like that.
Red Kettle Salvation Army?
Salvation Army.
Yep. Okay.
Serving as a volunteer with them,
Mhm.
ringing the bells. Ringing the bells is just being a part of a community, helping people out, serving your community, giving back, and not being so alone. You see all the joy and the smiles on people's faces during that time when you're ringing the bells. And then also to take and go to a homeless shelter and see if there's any meals to be served that you can help out with. If you're lonely and just want some company, there's homeless shelters that do holiday meals and things like that. So reach out to them. And or just get connected to your local RCO, Recovery Community Organization, and see if they have anything planned, or if they have anything that they may need help with during this holiday season.
Yeah, a lot of our nonprofit recovery community organizations, there's several in the Twin Cities, either are looking for people to maybe support some of their other outside organizations, like Frogtown Recovery Cafe, which is something that Minnesota Recovery Connection sort of has a loose partnership with, but they have all kinds of meals that they serve. They have events that are going on. So there's another community that you could just hang out in. That's in St. Paul in the Frogtown area. If anybody knows, those words all fit together, St. Paul, Frogtown. It's a specific community. I mean, that's a really good idea. When we're thinking about things to do, can we give back to community versus there's things that you can always do. You can walk around. Like a lot of the times, I think what happens is we get very sedentary. We get very sort of sit on our tushies during the holidays, and maybe sit in front of the TV or Netflix or Prime or whatever the heck, all Zulu or Hulu or Boo Boo, whatever they are. Maybe it's a time to get up and just go walk around some shopping mall. Might make you a little sad if you don't have many shekels in your pocket, but at the same time, they usually have bright lights and there's good smells, and maybe somebody's got some free samples someplace. But getting up and moving around, because moving around is really important as well. Kind of get those endorphins and that dopamine the good dopamine
Absolutely, Caddy.
going in your head. What else you got?
So like Caddy said, I'm going to feed off that a little bit about going to spaces and places where there's other people. A smile can change somebody else's world.
Oh, absolutely.
And during this time of year, there's a lot of sadness going on. And so just putting a smile on somebody's face or saying hi to them on the street corner, may change their trajectory of their life for the positive, because maybe they haven't been said hi to or a smile given to them for who knows how long.
Well, and you know how goofy I am. I talk about going into some sort of retail place and actually saying hello to the cashier that's behind the counter that is ringing up all your stuff all the time. Just say, "Hey, I hope you're having a good day." You'd be amazed how many people are ignored in our community. Like you just said, people who are walking down the street that may have a sad look on their face or just a lonely look on their face. There's people out on corners that are looking for money or looking for things from us. But I have really realized that sometimes I just acknowledge the individuals that might be looking for us, looking for something from us, is what I meant to say. And sometimes just acknowledging folks is really it, because I think that's where the sadness comes in. And that is many people that are struggling with substance use disorder who are on their early recovery. Even me, I just hit 23 years in recovery. I have, woo, woo, yeah. I have one of the toughest months of my life coming up. I lost my father a year ago. I lost my mother 33 years ago in December. I lost a beautiful human, Bev Benson, who I just was talking about, her daughter, Terry. Another good friend of mine lost her father. I mean, December, it's a month that has a lot going on other than just these holidays that we have to be so happy and show up for. So we want to give people permission to say, you know what? I'm going to show up at dinner, but I'm going to show up when you serve it. I'm going to eat a good meal, and then I'm going to go home. Don't have to be there 2 hours before. Don't have to be there the whole time. Or maybe you say, you know what? I'm just going to show up for dessert. Or maybe you just say, hey, you know what? I'm going to pass this year on this event, but I'll see you on New Year's or something like that.
Yeah, just give yourself space and safe space and time. And just recognize your limits. I mean, especially early in recovery, it's hard to set those boundaries and limits. And, maybe people serve alcohol at your family gatherings and you're fresh in recovery and you don't want to be around that. Maybe ask for a plate to go.
Oh, nice. Nice. Yeah. Say, hey, you know what? This is going to be challenging. It's not because I don't love all of you, but I'm going to come. I'm going to say hello to everybody early in the night before everybody has their whatever cocktails or whatever they have. And then I'm going to take a plate, give my greetings to everybody. And then I'm going to go home. And that's actually doing the most care for the family. And then, and for you, because what you've done is you've acknowledged everybody, but you've said, like you just said, I have boundaries, and first and foremost is my recovery, and I need to stay safe, but I still can love you from a distance.
Absolutely.
And I think I think that's hard for people. I know for me years ago when I was early in my recovery, and I would always have New Year's or Christmas Eve party with people, and that is simultaneously when I lost my mom, and I had to be joyous and I had to be happy because I was supposed to be, because that's what the holiday said. Well, I nixed that one several years in. I thought, you know what? That's just, no, I'm going to have my chosen family around me, and I'm going to do it small, and I'm going to do it in a way that honors who I am, because sometimes families and friends can have demands from us that are unreasonable.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it can be overwhelming sometimes, especially early recovery. I'm 3.5 years in recovery and I still get overwhelmed. So I can't about imagine or think back to, early recovery, a year, 6 months, 18 months into recovery, what that was like, because, even now I still struggle, with the demands of Christmas presents for the children, holiday gatherings, the use that happens around, the seasons, whether that's Christmas, New Year's, whatever holiday is going on. And so it's just like you said, Caddy, and like I said, putting up those boundaries, taking somebody with you, maybe having a company, somebody that has a little bit more sobriety under their belt, come with you and say, hey, I think maybe it's time to go. Let's check in. Let's, having a company with you that understands where you're coming from.
Yeah. Or even just a safe friend. They
Yeah.
don't even have to be in recovery. They can
Mhm.
just be someone you're like, hey, I got your number. I got you. I got you on this.
Mhm.
Yeah, you want to see your family, but we have to do it with parameters. And the other thing I was thinking of is when we're thinking about the holidays, the families of our choosing who have seen us maybe in our best and our worst time, they have expectations that they have on us. So if we walk in, they're like, oh man, are they going to drink? Or are they going to go in the back and they're going to do whatever? So they then lay some of these feelings on us. And so, maybe it's very important to have a discussion with your family of choice or your given family to say, I am going to come and here's how I'm going to do it. So you kind of give them a heads up so that they don't worry about you, because sometimes there's just a real honest to God worry about someone coming. But you also say, I'm going to take care of myself, but I want you to know how I'm going to do it. Because sometimes the people that love us the most are the ones that can put the most pressure on us
Mhm.
because they've seen us at our worst.
Yep.
And so they're afraid of what their expectations of the holidays are and how we're going to handle it. So it really comes down to what you were saying. You've got 2 ears and 1 mouth. And what we need to do is we need to ask our best people, our most valued people. It's like, can you just listen to me for a little bit? Here's what's going to work best for me. And I'm telling you because I love you, rather than just blow in and blow out on the holiday and you wonder what's going on. Oh, you're going to go, or you're going to go do this, or you're going to go do that. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, it does. We had somebody at our office that hadn't spent time with his family in 10 years
Wow.
because of boundaries and things like that. And he laid it down with his sister for the holidays that this is what I need to go on. I know it's your house, but if you could respect my boundaries and things like that, it would be a way for us to come together as a family. And she respectfully honored those boundaries, and now after 10 years he's able to spend a Christmas holiday or this season with his loved ones that he hasn't had in 10 years. So
Yeah, and it's purely about communication. And I think that's the thing that gets lost when people are in their deep substance use disorder. We alienate ourselves, we alienate our families, we alienate our friends. We just sort of go into our own chosen spaces. And then when we try to reconvene into these units that people who love us or people who don't like us very much right now or are afraid of us if for different reasons, if we just say, hey, I'm going to kind of lay down who I am in front of you right here, which means I'm going to be really vulnerable. So I really need you to kind of walk alongside me on that one. And that's not easy to do.
no, it's not.
And I know who you're talking about with the situation. And they just sort of said, I need help with this. And the family listened, and then the family honored that. And I couldn't be more delighted for this individual.
I know, it just makes my heart warm.
Yeah. So it can work, but we as a community, our family communities, our recovery community, our extended communities, listening is the key to it, and giving people space to change, because that change is hard when we're coming into our recovery or continue in our recovery. I myself, with going into the holiday season this year, I'm actually now beginning to feel that it's much harder than I was kind of thinking it would be. I'm like, what is it that I want to do, and how do I want to communicate that with people? And so I had to communicate that with Eric, my partner. I'm like, you know what, this is what I think I want to do in this case. And this is what I'm comfortable here. And we had like this thing that happened last night where he was going to be potentially getting some furniture from someone who had passed away. And he goes, well, I really don't want that in the house. And I'm like, well, I'll take it upstairs. And he's like, no, I really don't want it in the house. And I said, what are you trying to say to me? And he's like, I don't want anybody's stuff in the house anymore that's not alive. I'm kind of tired of it. And not tired of it. It makes me sad. And I was like, okay. And I looked at him and I said, thank you for beating around. Yeah. Well, he beat around the
bush.
He beat around the bush for a little while, and then we finally got it out. And I'm like, okay, now I totally understand what you're saying, and absolutely, I get it. But we're going to get tongue-tied, like I just did, and you're going to get anxious, like I kind of was. And I'm like, honey, are we okay? He's like, yeah, we're okay. I said, are you sure we're okay? And he's like, yeah, we're okay. I'm like, okay, we're okay. Yeah, give me a kiss. Okay, we're good. But these are uncomfortable conversations.
Yeah.
Have you
Uh,
ever had to set a parameter or a boundary with any of your family, your given family or friends?
My family, it's busy at our holiday because I have three sides of families that I have to attend to.
Oh dear.
And I have my boyfriend's side, my mom's side, and then my dad's side of the family.
Mhm.
So we have to rearrange things and schedules and everything. And it can be frustrating. So my safe space is actually at work
Oh,
because I get to be there. I get to do my job. I get to not have to worry about the holidays, but have that good community and support around me when I need it. And I
mm.
can talk openly about my boundaries and
Mhm.
talk openly about my feelings. And it's a safe space to be. So,
Wow.
Minnesota Recovery Connection, I just want to say thank you for being the family that I never thought I'd have, in a work area.
Yeah. Gosh, it could bring a tear to my eye. But that it goes to show there are many families that have many different prongs off of them, like you just
Hmm.
described. If a family either encounters a divorce or a death or a remarriage or siblings with partners and parents and wives and husbands and theys and all over the place. And it can be a lot to manage. I
And a
mean,
lot, very stressful to try to manage all that. And then uh if your family gives gifts, trying to decide like
how do you do
limits and
that?
how do you do that, how much you spend, what do you not get, like who gets what, which meals do you go to, which meals are you going to have to miss, and
What do
all-
you have to bring to a meal?
meal,
Yeah.
yeah, and all that stress and stuff that comes along with that. It is a joyous time of year, but it can be stressful as well.
So, literally everything that we just said, if that's going on in your life, like lay it out. I literally did this the other day. I took the calendar off of my wall in my kitchen and I wrote down all the activities that I have going on in December. Have never in my life had such a busy December because all of a sudden these things popped up and I'm like, okay, I'm just going to lay it all out though, rather than trying to remember it at this point.
Mhm.
And I laid it all out and I thought, okay, well, I can do this and I can do that. I'm going to move that. Or no, I'm not going to do that. Oh, okay, then this came up. Okay, I think I can d and really just laying it out and then figure out where do I caddy, in this case, where do I wanna present myself with comfort?
Exactly, but it's okay, and I want everybody to remember it's okay to say no.
No, as Kim L. Lawson in our office said, "No is a full statement, full sentence. No is a full sentence."
Mhm.
And absolutely say no, and then if there is a reason why, help somebody understand that sometimes
Mhm.
because, people got these sort of mushy emotions themselves. It's not just all about us. Is it?
Yeah, yeah.
Is it all about
There's
us?
gray areas.
I know. So, we're talking about how people in recovery come together and how so we all focus in on how important I am, but the other people around us, if we say, no, I can't do that. And you explain, you know what, I'll be uncomfortable in that environment because this is going on, or no, I'm a little bit overcommitted, so I can't do this, but maybe I can set up another date for you when it's a little bit quieter, when I might need something to do in January.
Yep.
So, feel free to make additional plans or find a way to renegotiate maybe the intensity of how this holiday couple of months looks like from Thanksgiving to New Year's or past New Year's. We know there's just
February can be a rough time too with Valentine's Day.
Valentine's Day. Exactly. So maybe you say, hey, you know what? I'm not going to do this with you on Christmas Eve because that's just a little bit too much on my plate. But I know chances are I'm not going to have somebody to go have dinner with on Valentine's Day. So can we reschedule for that?
Mhm.
Think about those options and make sure that you're playful, make sure that you have some fun. Maybe if you're a crafty gal like I am, go if you can to the dollar store or go to one of the craft stores and buy something that you can just sort of use another part of your brain so you can kind of distract yourself from yourself almost.
Mhm. Yeah, and I know the grocery. One little thing before we get going, the grocery stores have cookies that are not decorated,
Decorated, yeah.
so you can go buy blank cookies and decorate them yourself and bring them to somebody on the side of the road and just say Merry Christmas to them for a decorated cookie and how much that would be,
Oh.
just lovely to them. I
Oh,
did that a couple years ago when
did
I was in
you?
treatment. We got cookies and decorated them and then went out on the streets and handed them out.
You're such a good human, Alicia. Look at you. Well, we're going to take our last break. Thank you for listening to Redefining Recovery, Recovery Revolution here at AM 950. We will be back momentarily. Thank you very much. Little musical interlude there. Welcome back to Redefining Recovery, a Recovery Revolution. So we're talking about how do we make it through the holidays as individuals in recovery. Something that just popped into my mind when we were coming back on. I was thinking the radio stations at this time of year do such a great job on having both holiday themed music but other music and something that I did over last weekend. I went to a radio presentation of It's a Beautiful Life. So there's all kinds of things on in radio land, which you happen to be listening to, even if you're listening on a podcast. It all originates someplace. But, open up the dial on the radio, or go on to your favorite podcasts and listen to some great stories. Listen to those stories that are encouraging and welcoming. And then you can bound around your place of some kind and maybe make yourself an extra sandwich or bake some cookies but listen to something maybe a little bit different. If it's just music, that's great. Your favorite radio station. Usually there's just always some fun stuff going on. So I was just thinking, it's a great opportunity. I know a tradition my grandmother and I had. I would on Christmas Eve, we'd get together and we would turn on the St. Olaf Choir and we would listen to the St. Olaf Choir on Christmas Eve. And I actually went to a couple of their concerts, and it was just to listen to caroling, to listen to singing, because it's usually brings you joy just to listen to all the different musics. And in that case, they did music from around the world. They did choral concerts. And so there were all kinds of different songs that they did. So just an idea. So we're going to pull out our list of things that we can maybe pull upon to just remind you of some things that you can do. What do you got on your list, Alicia?
Visit or tour a humane society and pets and animals, or go to pet stores and see all the animals there, and just know that they are living in a safe space and place that, you can give them attention and window shop maybe for a future pet.
Creature, yes. But they're sitting in the little space and they're lonely too. So it's two lonely hearts bringing joy to one another. And I just saw this. It's like request a song for somebody on the radio. So maybe you're listening to your favorite radio station and they have a dedication day. So, request a song for that special someone, or it could even be a little bit derogatory too. So you could have like a funky song played for someone. What else do you got on there?
Visit the Minneapolis Institute of Art.
Free. Hello, Mia. That's the area that I grew up with. Yeah. They've always got great things going on there. They sometimes have their floral thing. Floral art in bloom. That's what it is. Art in bloom. It's past now, but besides the fact there's just incredible art that's going on there. One of these, if you have your driver's license, go test drive a new car, because the woman across from me just got, what did you get, Alicia?
A new Lincoln MKC.
Not that she's excited about that.
I am super excited.
You can hear the smile on her face, folks. But you know what? Those are some things that you can do. You can go, or maybe even you can maybe go on a house tour someplace. What else do you have out there?
Well, Caddy already mentioned going around the lakes to see the seasonal lights. You could go to a discounted movie. Take somebody with you to go to a discounted movie. I don't know if they still have the $1 movie night.
I don't know, but usually it's reduced price.
Or reduced price movie night. And or just have, a night where you binge watch movies at home or listen to music. And it doesn't have to be seasonal music. It can be
not at all.
Any type of music that uplifts you or that brings your spirit joy.
Yeah, I was just thinking one of the things on here doesn't have to do with it, but maybe even go to your public library. Public libraries have, newspapers from around the world or computers available that you can look at. You could go, kind of this is going to sound goofy, but you're near the children's area, so listen to Children's Joy. And I don't mean that in a creepy way. I mean that, just kids play and they read books and stuff like that, or find out if they have a book reading for Children's Night that you could sign up for or something like that.
We went bowling.
Yes, we went bowling as an organization. Go bowling.
Yeah.
It's not that expensive.
No,
and I mean, we had a great time.
we did.
Yeah, we had a great time. Go bowling, or you could go curling. There's a place in St. Paul that does curling, the St. Paul Curling Club, I think it is. There's two of them, St. Paul. This one's over there, not over there. I know exactly what I'm talking about, people. But one is on Marshall and the other one's in another place. But they actually do Amethyst recovery homes and recovery community organization. They have a curling club for people in recovery.
Nice.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
Yeah, I went there. Eric and I went there. Yeah.
Another thing that out my way out west, what we do is we find open lakes, or not open lakes, open arenas for skating.
Oh yeah, ice
skating during the year, whether that's an inside a facility or if you just scrape some ice off and flood it and wait for it to freeze. Go skating. And my partner, he was a hockey player in high school and elementary school and middle school, so he hasn't been on skates in years. I loved skating, but time gets by me and I just forget to slow down sometimes. So taking me and him and my kid out skating is amazing time.
And I know there's no snow on the ground. If it begins to spit snow at some point,
you make a snowman.
I know. Well, go sledding.
I'll go sledding. Yeah.
All you need is a piece of cardboard for all intents and purposes. Yeah. You might go sliding faster than you want to, but it's those outside activities we forget to do. It's going to be super cold currently, but in that case, be very, very careful. We don't want you to get hurt.
But that fresh air can be rejuvenating.
Just totally rejuvenating. Absolutely. Maybe you want to go online and find a new recipe that you want to cook, maybe from a different culture that you haven't cooked. I know I was around this time of year, my father used to always have what was called lutefisk dinner, which had, I know I'm not crazy about lutefisk either, but we would have like 5 other kinds of food too, but that was one of them. And I thought maybe I need to make something around that kind of, that I'm unfamiliar with, that I could cook.
On the Norwegian recipes, my mom just made 20 batches of lefse.
Oh, and I just ordered some from down in Rushford, so can't get it until after the 20th. They're so backed up.
They are backed up, but my mom makes it homemade. She invites all her friends and they roll and then they go. She went to the church and handed them out as a free will donation, or just to the church members or whoever for the holiday season, because some people don't have meals.
Or don't have something just so different. We sometimes get locked into our little bubbles of what we like. So so what we're coming up with, folks, is we're just trying to let you sort of think that we don't have to always abide by our families. We don't have to always abide by what people say we should do. What is it that you're comfortable doing during the holidays? These can be very just complicated times, or you're not exactly sure where you fit in the world. You can be at 23 years of recovery. You can be at 3.5 years. You can be
6 months.
You can be 5 days in recovery, and you're still not quite sure where you fit. But guess what? You fit in the recovery community. If you're working on your recovery, there's places, there's spaces. You can come to Minnesota Recovery Connection, any of the other recovery community organizations, nonprofit organizations, where you can walk in and just hang out with a bunch of people. But just know that there are people that will say, it's okay to not be okay.
Absolutely.
It's okay to just sort of be. And we want you to know that when it feels tough, when it is tough, don't try to always handle it yourself. Because that's when you reach out for help. You can call, urgent lines, or you can call a friendly line like our organization or other organizations, but don't feel you have to do it alone.
There's also the 211 for resources around all over resources, just to take, and maybe they might be able to help you with community resources during the holidays of going somewhere, having some meals, or, just having that support.
Exactly. Well, Alicia, Thank you, darling.
No, thank you, Caddy.
Well, thank you. So thank you for listening to Redefining Recovery, a recovery revolution. I just want to encourage everybody to feel free to donate to Minnesota Recovery Connection and help us continue our mission on helping our recovery community and the people that love the people in recovery. Feel free to volunteer or go to our website, Minnesota Recovery Connection, and click on donate your heart. But thank you. Have a good day.
Bye-bye.